I believe that salespeople should be influencers, and I'm going to tell you why. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, I have my good friend, Michael Manzur. He runs an influencer agency. And the other day, I had a CRO and CMO on a podcast. And she worked at Calendly. And I did a little bit and talked about this in the episode. But listen, one of the things that she mentioned to me in a conversation was like how much influencer marketing is so critical right now to a lot of these big organizations. So having a conversation with Michael, who runs an agency, I want to see how does that work with sales? What can we do to be able to influence deals? And I feel very strongly that salespeople should be influencers, not influencer in a sense out there, doing the latest TikTok dance, but influencing the deals or opportunities. And you're going to see why in this episode. If this is your first time listening to our show is designed to do two things. One, help you to build pipe, and two, help you to be able to accelerate deals through the pipeline a little bit faster. As we go into the episode, Michael, you get a chance to connect with him and you see his passion. He and I have been friends for a long time now, and he has ran some pretty successful campaigns working with companies like Dove and CarMax, and it's generating leads and business back to their organization. He's going to break down what that formula looks like, why influencer marketing is working right now, and how you and your team could take advantage of it. Check it out. Michael, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Grateful to be back. Excited to share and kind of participate in insights together. So,
well, I always love the value you bring to the table, and this conversation it dovetails from an episode I did the other day. I don't know if you guys remember. I think I may have mentioned this on the episode, but I did an episode with Jessica Gill Martin, and she was the former CRO at Calendly, and the content we spoke about on that episode was getting into the C-suite. She works with a lot with C-suite, so I was asking her what's some of the conversations going around, Mike, and she said right now the conversation is around how can we stay relevant in with AI and so much going on. I'm like, what else is going on at the table? She's like, from a marketing standpoint, it's very tough to get success from the old school channels, like just email campaign, or we're just going to do some kind of blast, or even, and this may be blasphemous for my podcast, but even cold call, it's not as effective as it once were, but it still works. Social ads and so forth. And I said, well, let's take everything away. What's one thing that you could do to really see success from a marketing and sales standpoint? If there's one thing, I take everything else away. What's the one thing you want? And you know what she said, Michael? She said, influencer marketing. So this is why we have you on the show today. And I know you have some stats on this. And again, sales leaders, sales rep, you're listening to this call. I'm not telling you that you need to be an influencer, but no, I am, because I talked about that on a different episode. You influence people. And we have a blog post coming out about that. But your job, though, I'm not saying you need to go out and go do a TikTok campaign and get all this stuff. You need to look at ways how you can take advantage of influencers. And I want to get ahead of that conversation. So I brought Michael on today because I want for him to speak to us on how does influencer campaign actually generate leads? Because all of us salespeople on this call, that's what we want. Does that make sense, Michael?
100%. And I believe being sales oriented, and not just sales oriented, but real results. You can have 100 calls a day. You can be prospecting. You can do these things. First of all, let me backtrack. Thank you. Again, this is wonderful. I love the sales community. I love the purpose-driven, people in the sales evangelist. And just a quick stat for you. So if you you just type in on Google Goldman Sachs creator economy, you'll run into this article that's published April 19th, 2023.
This is mind-blowing. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and just the headline, I'll just read the headline. The creator economy could approach $500 billion by 2027. This is Goldman Sachs. So creator economy could approach $500 billion by 2027. Wonderful article released several years ago, just 2 years ago. And think about everything that's happened with AI and several other things just 2 years ago, right? So I think the practical aspects start off, with a good strategy. Is just like any campaign. You have to have a fixed business objective and then have social media goal tied to your business objective. I agree with you. It could be that TikTok campaign, right? Right? What is the dances, and doing all that. Yeah,
Gotta go
exactly.
shake
There you
something and
go. There you go. So now I do believe that, there's value, but vanity metrics, we call them in
yeah.
social media marketing. So likes, comments, shares, different things like that. They have their place, brand lift, all these other things. The reason why I put those in quotations is because does it lead to sales? Does it move the needle? If I am a CRO, if I am a territory manager, if I'm trying to get my product and get it sold and build value for my team, etc., how can I do this? Thought leadership. So we're right now in a very, very unique and actually beautiful time. And the main thing right now that I'm telling guys, whether it's sales, whether it's anything with enablement, whether it's a new rep or a seasoned leader, get on social media, share your thoughts
Mm.
online. And here's the key. Here's the key. There's a very big difference between an audience and a community. And I guess it's like a hair we could split. Some people use them interchangeably.
Please go for it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, audience is, you're really talking at the people. You're standing on the podium and you're talking at them. You're not talking with them. You're not engaging in the things they want to talk about. As a community, and we know those of us who use like for LinkedIn, for sales or any type of engagement or calendar appointments, etc. With a community, you're participating. You're commenting on their posts. You're commenting on the different things. Well, how does commenting on a post help me generate leads, or how does commenting? Try it. Try it. It's the best way, because once you're known, LinkedIn has this unique thing where it has organic reach. And so your 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 connections can see what you commented on.
Yeah.
They can see what you're engaging with. You participate as part of that community. And now you're not just an influencer, but a thought leader. You're
Yeah.
somebody who has consequence and value. You're a key opinion leader in that sales process. So, I think it's wonderful. I could talk about this all day.
No, and
So,
I think that you definitely have to have more conversation on it, because here's one of the arguments that I have. I had people say, and some of the well-meaning organizations that I work with as an influencer, they moved away from the title influencer, and it's became this like thing, this taboo. Like, we don't want to be seen as an influencer, the influencer title, but you go back to the concept of influence as a salesperson. And this is what our blog is about for my other company, the podcast, our newsletter. But I am
nice.
influencing that deal. I do want to influence Michael. I do want Michael, the chief marketing officer who's following me, to see the content that I shared, that you like, just like you just shared, as a thought leader, to say, dang it, Donald's stuff makes sense. And I'm influencing the sales process, but I'm not shaking my bomb with some new TikTok, music. There's a different type of influencer in that vein. But I do
100%.
but there is a place for influencers, like the people who are shaking their bombs. But maybe that's not needed for your brand. But there is a place for influencers. My company, we're hypothetically thinking about this, Michael. What's the first step that I
Yeah.
should do as a sales leader and or as an executive listening to this podcast? What should I be doing if I'm going to experiment with hiring influencers to help us with our brand or do a campaign?
Great question. I'm excited to answer. So the very first thing would be to understand the best practices. What works, what doesn't, what is important for people to know of top tier. So when I'm evaluating the results that they got me, is this something that in-house is valuable to my company? Maybe it is. Like you said, shaking your bomb up. Maybe that's important for us in that quarter. We're trying to expand awareness, or we're trying to, but for us in sales, does it lead to sales? Does
Yeah.
it lead to moving the needle? Does it lead to Q4 or Q1 of next year of us having the success we want, hitting those financial targets, moving the bottom line, not just top line. So the very first thing would be understanding that. Understanding key business objectives. The second thing, moving down, is what is the life cycle of an influencer marketing campaign? So it moves in several stages, and I'll break those down just very briefly as a snapshot. The first is sourcing. So you have sourcing, you source the influencers. You're a company in-house and you say, you know what, we're going to invest in influencers. You source the influencers. Where do you find them? There's databases, there's various different ways, but sourcing is the first one. You find that influencer, then you send what's called the creative brief. In that creative brief, you kind of outline elements of the proposed campaign. Hey, we're doing back to school. We're coming up on Q4 here. Q4 is the busiest season by far in influencer marketing. You have all the holidays. You have Cyber Monday, Black Friday, like end of the year. It's crazy. And every influencer marketing agency, company, people like us just have a plug and play solution that we sell to companies. It's very busy. So That creative brief then outlines the elements in that campaign. Okay, here's 2 deliverables. You're going to do 2 30-second videos that you're going to highlight the product. You're going to say link in bio. We're going to do an affiliate, or maybe it's UGC. You're buying the assets. You're not even running a campaign. They're selling you the videos. There's various different types, but in that creative brief, you would outline the type of campaign, and then the duration of the campaign, the exclusivity, the usage rights, various different components. That's around the time you see the contracts, etc. Creative brief. Then the execution of the campaign. Campaign goes live. So step 3, the campaign goes live. There's monitoring. There could be live analysis. Depending on the complexity of your value chain and like your sales enablement cycle, you'd be able to look at that and see, okay, we're live now. Here's execution. And then afterwards, what we're talking about and what's most important for us as sales driven and sales oriented, the results. If we got X percentage of growth or this many impressions or this many, which is the state of the market right now, and which is why it's in flux with AI and a lot of things like that, influencer marketing is because it's like, did you get us real results? Well, we got you 1,000 comments. How many of those led to sales? What's the purchase intent? What's the, did it reach our buyer persona? Are we getting leads from this? So I think understanding those results and being results oriented in terms of how can we have successful campaigns. Let's say it hit every metric that you wanted. How can we duplicate this? How can we triple our influence? And that's where the influencer title comes in, is we're able to then say, okay, let me backtrack. Where can I go and then have a replica of these, replicate what I just performed? And that's the fifth and final step is essentially, or the final step is essentially looking at that and saying, how do we duplicate? How do we learn from those campaign experiences, the learnings or takeaways from the results of that campaign? Understanding those things, Donald, what it does is it helps us in sales, that CMO, that even CEO. I only work with the C-suite, those of us in influencer marketing, because we directly move the needle. Those of us who are focused on sales, we directly move the needle. So a CRO, a revenue officer, is looking at me and going, this is amazing. This is amazing. Many of you have heard, I don't want to drop names, but many of you have heard influencers on TikTok, let's say, and they go into a store, and then when they're known that they're there, let's say it's food review or some kind of something, they leave business. When they're going out the door, they leave business and they're leaving opportunity. Why? They tapped into those communities. And that's why I tell you, audience, community, very important here to split. So
what are some of the mistakes that companies make when they talk about it in a board meeting, say we're going to do an influencer campaign? What are some of the biggest mistakes that a organization make? And then I want to come back to another one about some of the results you've seen before.
Absolutely. So when I do a kickoff strategy meeting and we're onboarding certain parts of these clients, I see everything. I see the social media manager running the influencer marketing efforts. They're burned out. They're putting out fires. They're trying to evaluate results while doing community management. The primary thing we want to do is the first part. Are your business objective aligned with your social media efforts? And in this case, performance marketing and influencer marketing efforts. Let's say, for example, our goal is to increase sales by 20% in a 6-week period or in a 6-month period. Well, how do our calls to action with our creators connect to our business objective? How are we making sure that the link in bio is leading to real results, not just bounces from our shopping cart, And with us, in terms of thought leadership, if you're going to be a key opinion leader, a subject matter expert, it doesn't have to be you're the sales guy. It could be I'm tied into this community. I serve this community. I bring value to what I'm doing, and it works. So to your point, I think the heart of this question is essentially understanding what works. What I've seen is people too busy. They're busy putting out fires to know what works and what's the most important. Timelines are extending. People are not really understanding the value up top. You have stakeholder buy-in. There's confusion. Well, the last campaign you're in didn't do so well. It only got us XYZ impressions or comments, and we wanted sales. So then there's a retraining of the team, So there's so many things that happen. What we do is we bring a best practice solution. We get in there after doing that audit and that, kickoff strategy meeting. We're able to then say, okay, how do we set up the system in-house for you where you understand what works And then afterwards, that triggers, we do a setup and then a subscription. So we set up their influencer marketing efforts and then do a subscription that provides market intelligence, up to the minute, insights and influencer marketing. Because it's changing so much. You reference AI. I mean, it's nuts. There's AI creators making
Yes.
six figures, that are owned. The code is owned by people and other things like that. But it's an exciting time. But so many people feel left behind. The best way you can access, influencer marketing and sales and other things like that is just by sharing your thoughts in the community which you participate in. So
What has been you've done a lot of these different campaigns. You don't have to give names, but can you share one of the best resulting campaigns that you saw?
yeah, so I had a creator just recently. I don't want to share the name, but I'll just share it.
Yeah.
So it's CarMax. So we worked with CarMax. This was about 3 weeks ago. And you'd be surprised how much in-house people in these bigger companies, whether it's CarMax, we did a deal with Dove several weeks ago. And what happens is a lot of times, even in-house, the machine is just going, right? Whether it's CarMax, whether it's Dove, whether it's all these other companies, machine is just going. And it's like, we never really stopped. And many of you salespeople can relate to that. We never really stopped to consider, why are we doing what we're doing? Like, is this moving us closer towards the yearly goals or our quarterly goals? So I think helping them from an outside, fresh perspective, fresh eyes, being able to stop and see that, is this going to help us with our CEO initiative for this year or our 5-year goal or our, in us in sales, like, is this going to help us move the needle with our quota, et cetera? So what I did, and this is particularly for CarMax, we set them up with a creator. We were able to have them participate in that market intelligence and insights point of view, and they were able to pivot. So we got them with a creator. The results were given. They were great results, but they said, you know what? We can duplicate this with AI. I agreed. I mean, I thought it was wonderful. I'm excited to connect them with creators, but if they can do it with AI at a fraction of the cost, I mean, go for it. And I think a lot of bigger companies are starting to experiment, as you referenced, with AI and with other different things. But the best practices don't change.
Yeah.
The ability to get results doesn't change, because that AI creator will still have to do calls to action. They'll still have to pose and, promote products or do whatever it is to move the needle value wise in terms of sales. So once you understand that, what works and why is it important, it changes everything. And again, the best way to find that out is by being in these communities, because the value proposition that I propose and jobs to be done, as Clayton Christensen has talked about,
Yeah.
may not fill the jobs to be done that is, the community I'm engaged in. But as a salesperson, you would know the prospect's pain points. You would know the rebuttals. You would know, the things that combat that and help enhance the value in the eyes of the prospect. So I think it starts there, just participating in the communities we're a part of and being engaged actively online, particularly on LinkedIn. So
What would you say is the final result of the campaign with them? Was it leads that they got, or was it just, I mean, they had some success, right? The CarMax or Dove?
yeah, it's conversions. So their conversion goal, those of you who don't know, this will be helpful from a marketing guy perspective. So there's a funnel, right? It's a funnel. So it starts at awareness and then it kind of goes down. That's the top of funnel. This is a marketing funnel. And then it goes all the way down to conversions. And in conversions, they can vary. Sales, maybe it's foot traffic, maybe it's, learn more, click here, buy now, whatever it is in terms of a call to action button online or in person, et cetera. So theirs was to learn more and to have phone calls. We were able to, I think it was 382% with
Sheesh.
their prior. Yeah. Influencer marketing, the returns are amazing. I mean, once you know what you're doing, once you've seen, just like in sales, once you know, okay, I got this prospect because I said something that really filled their pain point, or
Yeah.
I'm able to, it's the same thing in marketing and understanding that funnel is once you're able to understand what moves the needle and what the best practices are and what can be duplicated and replicated regardless of industry, because you understand the best practices. Once you understand that, I mean, the results are stupendous. And right now, I've worked with Operation Underground Railroad. I've worked with the Golden State Warriors. We've worked with quite a few people that have seen results across the board, and it's very exciting to understand. So if you take nothing else from what I say today, and you're listening to this, or maybe you watch this later on YouTube, the primary thing I want all of us to focus on is participate on LinkedIn in the conversations. Maybe you set a strategy. Gary Vaynerchuk and several others call it the $1.80 strategy, where every comment is 10 cents and you do XYZ comments per day. And, so participate in those things, because now that you're trusted, they come to you. You have inbound sales. You have inbound influence and capacity to influence the prospect. So it's a wonderful thing, and it's happening right now. And I would hate for us listening to then, 2 years from now, we're like, I could have done that.
Dang it! I listened to this guy on a podcast,
right?
So
yeah, now AI is doing it. So.
Well, with that being said, Michael, folks listening to this and they're like, Donald, I'm curious, I want to check this out. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn. It's wonderful. I have conversations, people all the time on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there. I'm going to start producing a series and content on there to talk about a lot of this, because many spaces are changing. I'm in the faith-based space and Christian wellness, health and wellness brands. That's what our primary focus is. And we do consulting, as I mentioned, for the other brands and people. But I'll give you just a snapshot. So LinkedIn is the best place to find me. Last year, I was at a conference called the Influencer Marketing Show in New York City. Obviously, New York City, big city, all people from all over the world. It's a destination location, and we're there, and we're having a good time. You would be surprised. How many salespeople were there doing exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Just trying to learn, trying to participate, trying to be part of the conversation. How does this apply to what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
And how can I better learn as a sales enablement, whether maybe it's a direct revenue, a CRO, or even, BDR, new develop, reps and business development reps. I think the important part is understanding our knowledge gaps and filling those. And I would love to be a part of that process. So reach out to me, Michael Alejandro Manzur on LinkedIn. And I would love to help.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show today, man. We truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That was Michael Manzur. If you haven't connected with Michael, go ahead and connect with him. Tell him that you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm truly grateful to have him, and I'm truly grateful to have you and for you being here. If you haven't done so already, I encourage you to subscribe to our podcast, and we'll notify you every time. Connect with Michael on LinkedIn. Tell him that you heard about him here on the show. And, as always, I really want you to build pipeline. And I think you should, I know and feel very strongly you should be an influencer, influencing the deals, not necessarily, again, being TikTok and mastering CapCut. You just need to be able to influence, and you can do so very easily based on the things Michael is sharing. And if your team want to do an influencer campaign, go ahead and try it. Get your marketing and sales team together, your revenue team, and see how you can apply with influencers that are out there to help move a deal forward. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. I want you to be able to close more deals. Most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. See you on the next one.